Are you frustrated with your tomato plants not producing fruit? It's one of the most common issues gardeners face, but the good news is it's completely fixable. Stick around because I'm going to reveal the exact mistakes you might be making that are stopping your tomato plants from fruiting. And I'll show you how to get your plants producing like never before. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on more tips that will help your garden thrive. I'm passionate about helping gardeners just like you grow healthier, more productive plants. I know the frustration of watching your tomato plants grow but not produce the fruit you're hoping for. It's disheartening, right? Well, you're not alone. Tomatoes are one of the most rewarding crops to grow, but when they don't fruit, it can really put a damper on your gardening experience. In today's video, I'm going to break down the most common mistakes gardeners make when trying to grow fruiting tomatoes, and more importantly, I'm going to show you how to fix them. Whether you've been gardening for years or you're just starting out, these tips will help you get the results you're looking for. Now, some of these tips might actually surprise you, and you may realize you've been making some of these mistakes all along. Trust me, after watching this, you'll have your tomato plants thriving in no time. Let's start with one of the most overlooked issues, choosing the wrong variety of tomato. It's easy to assume that all tomato plants are the same, but the truth is, different varieties thrive under different conditions. If you're planting in a cooler climate or have a shorter growing season, choosing the wrong variety can really set you back. For example, if you live in a cooler region, you'll want to pick varieties that are bred to handle the cold and have a faster growing cycle. Varieties like Early Girl and Stupus are perfect for these conditions because they mature quickly, often in as little as 50 to 60 days, meaning you get a harvest much sooner than traditional tomatoes. On the other hand, if you're in a warmer climate, you might want to try heirloom varieties like Brandywine or Cherokee Purple, which tend to perform better in the heat and offer a fuller flavor. But keep in mind, these varieties might take longer to ripen, so patience is key if you're opting for them. A common mistake is sticking to one type of tomato for your entire garden and not considering how your local climate affects growth. By diversifying and picking varieties that suit your area, you can ensure your tomatoes have the best chance at success. Pro tip: if you're in a cooler climate, don't overlook the smaller early season tomatoes like Early Girl or Stupus. They'll give you the best shot at a successful harvest even when the season is shorter. It's all about choosing the right plant for the job, and that starts with understanding what works best for your growing conditions. So before you plant, check your local growing zone and make sure your tomato varieties match up with the environment you're working with. Next up, let's talk about watering, and more specifically, how inconsistent watering can severely affect your tomato plants. One of the most common mistakes I see gardeners make is not sticking to a regular watering schedule, and this can really throw off your tomatoes' ability to fruit. Tomatoes need consistent moisture to thrive, but the key is balance. Too little water can leave your plants stressed, leading to smaller, fewer fruits. On the other hand, overwatering can cause root rot, a lack of oxygen in the soil, and will ultimately stunt your plant's growth, leading to weak, fruitless vines. It's all about finding that perfect middle ground. So what's the right approach? First, you should aim for deep watering, especially in the hot summer months. Deep watering encourages your tomato plants to grow strong roots that can access water further down in the soil. Shallow watering, where the water only reaches the top layer, can lead to weak root systems and drought stress. To get the best results, aim to water your tomatoes so that the soil is evenly moist, at least 6 inches deep. But here's the trick: always check the soil before you water. Stick your finger into the soil about 1 inch or 2 deep. If it feels dry, it's time to water. If it's still damp, hold off. This helps prevent overwatering. Tomatoes typically need about 1 to 2 inches of water per week, but during hot spells, they might need a little more. The key here is consistency. Try to water at the same time each day, preferably in the early morning. This allows the plants to absorb the water before the heat of the day, reducing evaporation and ensuring that the roots get a good drink. Pro tip: deep watering is key. Tomatoes need at least 1 to 2 inches of water per week, but always check the soil first to avoid overwatering.
It's much better to water deeply and less often than to do frequent shallow watering. Remember, your tomato plants are like any other living thing. They need steady care, and when it comes to watering, routine and balance are critical. Keep an eye on your watering habits, and you'll start seeing stronger, healthier plants that are ready to fruit. Now, let's dive into a common mistake many gardeners don't even realize they're making: over-fertilizing with nitrogen. While it's true that nitrogen is essential for plant growth, using too much can lead to an issue that's counterproductive when it comes to tomatoes. Excess nitrogen encourages lush green foliage, but here's the catch: it can actually reduce the amount of fruit your tomato plants produce. When you give your tomatoes too much nitrogen, the plant focuses all its energy on growing leaves instead of flowers and fruit. So you end up with this beautiful, healthy-looking plant, but without any tomatoes to show for it. The solution is simple. Use a balanced fertilizer that's designed for fruiting plants. Tomatoes need a balanced ratio of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. While nitrogen helps with overall growth, phosphorus and potassium are key to encouraging blooming and fruit development. So, when you're selecting a fertilizer for your tomatoes, look for something with a lower nitrogen content and higher levels of phosphorus and potassium. These nutrients are what stimulate the flowers to turn into fruit, and ultimately that's what you're after, right? Pro tip: use a fertilizer higher in potassium and phosphorus to encourage blooming and fruiting. This will help direct the plant's energy to producing those delicious tomatoes rather than just growing more leaves. Now, let's talk about one of the most crucial and sometimes overlooked factors in tomato fruiting: pollination. If your plants are producing flowers but not fruit, it could be that poor pollination is the issue. Tomatoes are self-pollinating, which means they have both male and female reproductive parts on the same flower. However, they still need some help to transfer pollen from the male to the female parts. In nature, this is usually done by the wind or by bees and other pollinators. But if your garden doesn't have enough of them, or if you're growing indoors or in an area with little wind, you might be seeing less pollination. Here's the good news: you can give your tomatoes a little nudge. First, make sure you're attracting pollinators to your garden by planting bee-friendly flowers nearby. But if that's not enough, you can actually help pollinate the flowers yourself. One simple trick is to gently shake the plant. When you shake the plant, it helps move the pollen around and increases the chances that it will reach the female parts of the flowers, leading to fruit development. Pro tip: give your plants a gentle shake to help release pollen if you're not seeing enough pollinators. Or you can manually pollinate by using a small brush or swab to transfer the pollen from one flower to another. Pollination is a key step in getting those delicious fruits to develop, so don't let it slip through the cracks. A little effort can go a long way in ensuring your tomatoes reach their full potential. Now let's talk about temperature and timing, two major factors that can make or break your tomato crop. Tomatoes are extremely temperature sensitive, and if they're planted too early or too late in the season, they simply won't produce the way you want them to. Tomatoes need a warm environment to thrive. The ideal temperature range for fruiting is between 70 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit, or 21 to 29 degrees Celsius. Within this range, your tomatoes will develop flowers, set fruit, and grow strong. But if the temperatures drop below 50 degrees Fahrenheit, or if the heat spikes above 90 degrees Fahrenheit for extended periods, your tomatoes will struggle. Cold temperatures cause flowers to drop without setting fruit, and excessive heat leads to poor pollination and fruit set. Timing is just as critical as temperature. In regions with cooler climates, you need to wait until the soil is warm enough, usually around 60 degrees Fahrenheit or higher, before planting. If you plant too early, when the soil is still cool, the plants will just sit there, and you won't see much growth or fruit production. On the flip side, planting too late can leave you with a short growing season, meaning your tomatoes might not have enough time to ripen before the first frost. So, what's the solution? For those of you in cooler climates, start your tomatoes indoors 6 to 8 weeks before your last frost date, then transplant them outside once the weather is consistently warm. For those in warmer climates, just make sure you're not planting during a heat wave or when the temperatures are forecasted to soar above 90 degrees Fahrenheit for long stretches. Another important thing to note is the importance of your first frost date in the fall. If you're planting late in the season, be sure to choose early maturing varieties that can give you a harvest before the frost hits. Pro tip: Tomatoes need temperatures between 70 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit to fruit properly. Plant them too early or too late, and they won't produce. Pay attention to your local weather patterns and be mindful of the optimal planting window in your region. If you nail the timing and provide the right temperatures, your tomato plants will have the best chance at producing healthy, delicious fruit. Remember, when it comes to tomatoes, it's all about getting the timing just right. Let's talk about sunlight, or rather, the lack of it. One of the most critical factors for getting your tomatoes to fruit is giving them enough sunlight. Tomatoes are sun-loving plants, and without 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight a day, you're going to see a serious drop in fruit production. Why is sunlight so important? Well, tomatoes rely on photosynthesis to fuel their growth and develop fruit. When they get enough sun, they have the energy they need to produce flowers, set fruit, and ripen those delicious tomatoes. But without sufficient sunlight, your plants will become leggy with weak growth and a lack of fruiting. If your garden is in a shady spot, or if you're growing tomatoes indoors, this can be a huge obstacle. While tomatoes can tolerate a little bit of shade, too little sun, especially during the critical flowering and fruiting stages, will lead to poor yields or worse, no fruit at all.
So, what can you do about it? If your garden doesn't get enough sunlight, you can make some simple adjustments. First, try to move your plants to a sunnier spot, if possible. Even shifting pots or raised beds a few feet can make a big difference in how much sunlight your tomatoes receive. If you're stuck with limited sunlight, consider using reflective surfaces to bounce more light onto your plants. White walls, fences, or even using aluminum foil or reflective garden films can help amplify the sunlight that your plants get, especially in those afternoon hours when the sun is at its strongest. If you're growing tomatoes indoors, it's crucial to supplement natural sunlight with grow lights. There are plenty of affordable and effective grow lights available that mimic the natural sunlight tomatoes need to thrive. And trust me, your tomatoes will thank you for it. Pro tip: if your garden doesn't get enough sunlight, consider using reflective surfaces to bounce light onto your plants. This can help give them that extra boost of energy they need to fruit. In the end, tomatoes need lots of light to reach their full potential. Make sure your plants are getting at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight a day. If they're not, consider moving them or adding reflective materials to help boost their light intake. When it comes to tomatoes, sunlight is truly the secret to success. Before we wrap up, I've got a couple of bonus tips that can give your tomato plants an extra boost and help you get even better results. These are a bit of insider knowledge, small changes that make a big difference. Let's dive in. Bonus tip number 1. One lesser-known trick that I've found incredibly useful is using Epsom salts in your watering routine. Epsom salts are a great source of magnesium, which is an essential nutrient for tomatoes. Magnesium helps with photosynthesis, and more importantly, it helps improve flower and fruit production. If your tomatoes are struggling to fruit, adding a tablespoon of Epsom salts to a gallon of water can give them a quick boost. Just make sure to water them with this solution once a month, and you'll notice stronger, healthier plants that are better at setting fruit. Now, it's a simple trick, but it can really make a difference in the long run. Magnesium helps tomatoes take in other nutrients more efficiently, which in turn helps them produce more fruit. It's a cheap and easy way to give your garden a little extra edge. Bonus tip number 2. Let's talk about support systems for your tomatoes. Now, if you've ever had issues with tomatoes dropping their fruit before it ripens, or if your plants are getting too top-heavy and falling over, you might want to consider building a simple tomato cage or support system. Now, you don't have to buy expensive trellises or cages. In fact, you can make one yourself with just a few supplies. Take some inexpensive wire mesh or wooden stakes and create a simple support structure that will hold the plant upright and give it the support it needs as it grows. This prevents the plant from sprawling on the ground, which not only helps prevent disease, but also keeps the fruit from getting crushed. When your tomatoes are supported properly, they have a better chance of growing strong, and the fruit is less likely to drop prematurely. And here's an additional tip. Try using string or old pantyhose to tie your plants to their supports as they grow taller. It's a great, cost-effective alternative to store-bought tomato ties, and it works just as well without damaging the plant. Before I go, I'll also mention a couple of tools that can really help make your gardening experience smoother.
A good pair of pruning shears is essential for maintaining healthy tomato plants. You'll want to trim any dead or overcrowded growth to allow better air circulation. And if you're growing in containers, a self-watering system can help you maintain that perfect moisture balance, which, as we discussed earlier, is crucial for fruit production. These tips may seem small, but when you implement them, you'll start to see big improvements in your tomato garden. Keep them in mind, and you'll have tomatoes that are healthier, more productive, and ultimately more satisfying to harvest. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you faced any challenges with your tomato plants? Or maybe you've had some success that you want to share. Drop a comment below and tell me about your tomato growing experiences. What mistakes have you made, and what tips have worked for you? And if you found these tips helpful, smash that like button to show some love, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss more gardening advice like this. Share this video with a fellow gardener who might need a hand getting their tomatoes to fruit. Let's help each other grow better gardens. For even more tomato growing tips and tricks, check out my other videos, like how to prune your tomato plants for better fruiting, or how to combat pests in your tomato garden. You'll find tons of useful info to keep your garden thriving all season long. So, to wrap up, remember this. The key to healthy fruiting tomatoes is consistent watering, proper sunlight, and choosing the right variety for your climate. With the right care, your tomatoes will flourish and reward you with a bountiful harvest. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can keep getting expert advice to take your garden to the next level. Trust me, your plants will thank you. And finally, happy gardening! May your tomatoes be as fruitful as your hard work. Keep nurturing your plants, and I'll see you in the next video.